Warming up.
You like having him peek in. There are a bunch of board game geek photos of people doing that.
Because it's, a life-sized face.
Is it? Are we saying this is? It
No,
doesn't.
no, it's smaller. Okay. It looked
Yeah.
bigger from that angle.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, you see, it's bigger from being closer to the camera.
okay. I will concede this point. Okay, we gotta share. We gotta share.
Manually sharing. If you're already on the feed, know that we're that indie. That we have to manually share the episode.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Sharing.
I didn't even get to plug today's episode. It was super. Well, we ended on a weird note today,
Mm-hmm.
to say the least. He's tweeting.
We are also doing this episode without the benefit of the air conditioner.
Sadly, yeah, it's had a long day and needed a break. Okay, I have tweeted.
We posted, we shared. Yeah, I should also share on Twitter. Uh, Close the bank stuff. We're sharing. All right. Yeah. Oh, we missed the opportunity again to do a funny name or a funny topic because it's episode 220.
And then,
Could have been like, Forbidden Sky because there's electricity.
okay. I mean, I get it. It's not like we took advantage of 110.
We haven't been paying attention to the numbers. It's not that the numbers are bad.
I knew you were going to say the numbers are bad.
Hey, Kenny.
Hello, Kenny.
Okay, something's in my eye.
Issue.
That's what I get for talking about the numbers. The numbers are bad. Okay, we will start in a few minutes. It's a warm Monday. It's been a stressful Monday.
Yeah. And yeah, then I already tweeted this, but really, like, I think it's been raining further north. Like, Marikina's like, oh, dangerous rain and whatnot. And then here, nada.
Here, it's just low pressure area.
Not even. I mean, like, the air didn't feel that comforting. It's just dry.
What do you think, Bob?
Don't talk to Bob.
Do you think it has to do with the chill of the BGC? It's too far. See? Yeah, there you go.
We're not at 10. Toby just hasn't turned them on for a while.
Okay, we'll start in 2 minutes. Hey, Kenny, just cloudy sky the whole day. I didn't even feel it was cloudy.
It was sunny this morning.
I
Like
thought it was
my
just-
workout was intense.
Yeah, it's just warm. Warm. Sticky warm. That sticky, slappy warm.
Wow, 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 wow.
It's kind of warm where you feel like, you know, you're very consciously aware of your skin.
It makes you want to swim in ice cream. Because I don't know why I thought that. It feels like something you would think of, and then it just bled over to me.
No, because it's better to eat ice cream. Why
You-
would you swim in ice cream? You swim in whipped cream. Hey, Mitch.
wow, differences.
Kenny says we had heavy rainfall the other day.
But it wasn't that long either.
Mitch asks, "Is it raining?" No,
It has
doesn't
not
look
rained
like it.
all day.
All right, we're down to our last minute, and then we start and talk about today's topic, which we are already hinting at.
Why are we hinting if there's a caption right here that says the title of the episode?
Hey,
So
Bob.
yeah, of course, for those tuning in, we can better. Oh, that's
the
the
electric
fan.
fan.
Sorry, the rain background noise is not rain; it's the fan. So yeah, if you're new to the show, we can't see you. I can't see who's watching, but we'd appreciate if you comment so that we can interact and then we can acknowledge you being here and thank you for joining. And otherwise, be sure to like this video, share it with folks, try to get more people in the stream, yada yada yada. I need to prep. Okay, so
So yeah, we'll be right back after this quick intro.
Oh yeah! Baduy Pride!
Hello, everyone. This is Toby.
and this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
This is completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. It's Monday, so it's a board game night. And obviously, today's topic is a board game which we were actually quite surprised how much we enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not the sort of game that we would think that, hey, I'm gonna buy a Bob Ross board game today. Yeah,
So yes, if it wasn't clear, today's topic is Bob Ross, the art. Well, there's no D.
there's no
Bob
the
Ross,
Art of Chill,
which is a board game that has his face on the cover.
and it was a design or created by Prospero Hall, which is not a person but a studio.
Mhm.
But it's a studio that is responsible for a lot of interesting franchise games, including Disney Villainous and like some of the Back to the Future games. They even had a Godzilla game. So there's definitely a focus on franchise stuff, but not like on the level of I don't know Cryptozoic. Because I feel like when I think people who make franchise games, I don't know why I always think Cryptozoic first.
Now, the game is a game that we covered in an earlier episode when we were talking about games that have unique mechanics or unique components that we like.
Yeah, but
Um,
we're gonna do a full focus on just this game because it's also a request by Mitch. Yay!
So, what is Bob Ross Art of Chill? Bob Ross Art of Chill is a game where you and the other players compete to paint the most. No, actually, no. You compete to paint paintings of Bob Ross
Against Bob Ross.
against Bob Ross himself and the other players, and to try to score the most chill points before the others do. The game uses action points, card drafting, dice rolling, hand management, and set collection as part of its mechanics.
So, for those unfamiliar with Bob Ross, I mean, he is a very prolific painter who is more famous not because of his paintings per se,
Mhm.
but because of his instructional videos that aired on like PBS and stuff. Um, and it's so calming uh, to watch him demonstrate his craft because he has literally a very chill air around him.
Mhm.
He always speaks in this soft, modulated voice. And then for him, there are no mistakes when you're painting. You have happy little accidents
Yes.
that can lead to certain things. an accidental swipe of your brush could become a tree or a bird
Or a cloud.
yeah. So he was really good at that. So this game tries to celebrate sort of that and that legacy.
But then turns it into a cutthroat competitive game where you try to attack each other and grab the points before the others do.
Yeah, I didn't know how to segue between the game says it is about the art of chill.
But in truth, it's about war!
It's a surprisingly cutthroat game. And technically you received this as a gift, right? It was a gift exchange thing and then
So it was part. I was part of a Secret Santa
yeah.
activity, and this was among the items in my wish
Oh,
list.
hi Noel.
Hey Noel.
And so they got you this.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. And it's really like when Toby opened up like you have a Bob Ross
And
board
I'm like,
game.
yeah, I added that in my list. I don't know if it's good, but I decided to check it out. And then when we played it, this is good.
And surprisingly, this is not the first Bob Ross tabletop game. There is another. But let's talk about this one. Okay. So, so we talked about this being about painting. And hi, Noel. We've missed you too. Hope you're doing okay. Um, and if for people who are just joining, if you think it sounds like there's rain, sorry, it's the fan.
So the game comes with a large plastic,
Easel thing.
yeah. And this is a major component in the game because this is where you have things on display.
So
Not this one though.
yeah, but the victory points, in this case, chill points are victory points, and we chose to talk about this game also today because we wanted to stress color. It's still Pride Month, and this is definitely one of the most colorful games that we have.
Mhm.
Hey, Jed.
So part of the game is going through a number of Bob Ross paintings. The paintings are many of the actual paintings that he worked on in the show, but of course they have been adjusted to have the functionalities expected of a board game. Here's an example. Here is another example. And here is another example. You'll notice how the painting itself has these shapes in the bottom, has these sections that are marked with color combinations, and
And
if
a
you
symbol,
look sharply, it includes as well a tool. So you have a certain brush there, you have the
knife brush.
the knife there, and all of that is part of the game where the easel comes in.
If we can mount one, not all. Okay.
You place the paintings there, and this becomes the painting that everyone in the game is currently trying to paint.
Let's reduce this to one, so that you have space for
The wind will blow it.
It's okay. It's not as bad. I'll hold it here. Okay.
You have the Bob Ross token. It's not a little. And he marks where Bob Ross is in the act of painting the painting. Each round, players roll dice, and depending on the dice roll, this can move down the track, which then shows where Bob Ross has gotten as far as the painting is concerned.
If he gets all the way to the end, he has finished painting the painting before the players, and we will change the painting that
Yeah.
everybody's working on.
Notice that there are certain areas in the painting that mark specific portions. Those represent the three areas that are displayed. Players then rush to try to fulfill these areas by getting the colors, by then using the actions they have to paint them. And if they are able to accomplish it before Bob does, they earn extra chill points. If they accomplish it after Bob has done so, they still get points, but there aren't any bonuses.
Yes.
But if they were working, let's say, on this one, and Bob reaches the end, I'm sorry, you lose that painting because it's done. A new painting comes in, Bob resets, and if earlier you were working on red, brown, and orange, you realize you now don't have a matching palette. And that's part of the trick of the game because every player
Has a little palette, which has space for 2 sets of cards. Each stack can go up to 3. Okay.
these cards represent either the paint or the tools that you've collected in the game. For example, the bright red, or it's the number 1 brush. We have the
It's the fan brush.
or titanium white.
Yes.
Um, you have the Van Dyke brown or the 2-inch brush. So by getting cards, you then have to decide if these cards are on your easel as paints,
On your palette.
on your palette as paints, or if you hold on to them as brushes. And then when you work on the paintings, you then try to fulfill those combinations. So a large part of the trick is knowing which paints to place on your palette.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were working on green, orange, and yellow, and let's say I got a yellow here and I have a red here, then I now have this side left to try to fulfill the orange and green part. If by some chance or some mistake I chose to put the green with the red, then that makes that green have red, so I cannot use it to fulfill this side anymore. That can be so frustrating, especially if you're so deep into preparing something. Then Bob finishes before you, and a new painting changes things again.
Yeah, and we've had cases where with the painting switch, and then suddenly the colors on your palette aren't even in the painting at all, which is a struggle.
Now, there are another set of cards which then offer some level of randomization and some level of strategy into the game. The small technique cards, and you can see how small they are, allow players who invest in them to get bonuses later on.
Yes.
Certain technique cards, for example, allow you to um, have that color readily available. Other technique, sorry, allow you to earn chill points if you use that color. Other technique cards, for example, give you points for the certain tools that are used. Chill cards, which is a stack of its own, comes into play when the dice is rolled. And the die is rolled at the start of every player's turn.
Yeah, and half the faces are this Bob Ross face. So when the Bob Ross face comes up, you play a chill card,
Mhm.
and Bob moves one item on the track.
So the chill cards represent how Bob talks to you and how Bob asks or expects things from you. For example, Bob might, for example, allow you to all take an extra action this turn. And to read it, there are no limits here. Absolutely no limits here. On the other hand, you might have something wherein when this card is revealed, players may wash a paint area on their palette that allows you to clean the
Remove
colors
cards
away.
from your palette.
And that says, just beat the devil out of it.
Yeah,
Likewise, he might make this turn a turn wherein you earn extra chill points if you paint with a certain color. And he says here, it's a super day. So it's a nice day to make a pretty bright, shiny sky.
and that's why you're gonna paint with phthalo blue.
But then on other times, do not move Bob. He's just chilling.
And then what does he say?
Um, I don't try to understand everything in nature. I just look and enjoy it.
Just chilling.
So the cards nicely capture that feel of the show wherein things happen. There are no mistakes, just unexpected happy accidents. Whenever these cards are drawn, Bob does move, but then the card itself makes the movement feel less painful because there is a reward or a bonus that you can capitalize on. To wrap it up, we have some wooden pieces to keep track of your score and some colored tokens that allow you to keep track of what features you have completed in the painting. When a painting is being completed, it's a race to complete the features. So you can see that there are 5 categories,
Mm-hmm.
but depending on the active painting,
There's typically only 3 things to paint.
yes, which means when those categories are active, the first one who scores it earns an extra 2 points. The next one who scores it earns an extra point, and then whoever else scores it doesn't earn extra points. So you probably have realized by now, this game has no chill. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Because it's quite the race for points, and we have found in our playthroughs that what's this that you can there are actually multiple paths to victory.
Mhm.
You could score a lot of technique points, chill points by completing or acquiring
Mhm.
technique cards.
Mhm.
And since each technique card is 2 points, that can get you far, most of the way
Mhm.
down the chill track, which maxes out at 30.
It's a act that requires bravery because
Mhm.
if you focus on technique cards, you see everyone else scoring from paintings. You see them leaping forward in the track, and you're like 2 steps, and then someone will like 6 points. Because when you score paintings, you have to realize, no, not only do you earn the points if Bob hasn't painted it, not only do you earn points if you're the first two to do it, but you actually earn points for each color in that set. So, for example, if you completed this set, you earn 4 points.
And
That's brown, green, yellow, orange.
let's say you're first to do it.
So
That's two more points.
So that's now 6. And then Bob hasn't done it, so that's an additional 2. So you're suddenly 8 points ahead of everyone. And then if I were doing technique cards, 2 points. So it's tense inducing.
But there are but you can balance it out. For
Mhm.
example, maybe you scored a big painting, but now you have no cards in hand.
Yes.
Your palette is clean, and then on the next turn, it's like you draw some random cards, but it's just enough to get you a technique. Then maybe you want to do a quick pickup of 2 points.
Mhm.
But we'll talk more about that for strategy.
So with all those actions, you might be wondering how exactly does the game work. So to give you a quick gist of the round of a player round, at the start of the turn, the active player rolls the die, and then after rolling the die, they must see the result that the die has generated. It can be Bob moves.
Bob.
Sorry, it can be draw a chill card, and that
Yes.
determines if Bob moves.
To be fair, because some cards Bob doesn't move.
Yes. It could be a hand symbol, which means you actually have an extra third action that round. Or it could be a plus card symbol, which means you draw an extra art supplies card.
A random art supply from the top of the deck.
And the art supplies card were the cards that are either paint or tools.
There's one more, which is the palette, which is you can put a paint card down on your palette
Yes.
for free.
So once you have done those actions, once you've determined your bonus from the die roll, you then choose how you'll spend your actions. You usually start with 3 actions, and because of the dice roll, you might end up having 4. With each of your actions, you could choose to draw cards from the art supplies. There's no hand limit.
You can draw. There are like 4 face-up cards in the quote-unquote market, or you can draw from the top of the deck if you
Yeah.
don't like what's available.
You can choose to draw a technique card, which requires you to discard 2 matching supply cards.
Mhm.
So I might throw away 2 of this because I want to grab that one. You could choose to put paint on your palette as an action, so it allows now that card to be established as part of the paints you have ready. Or you could complete a section of the painting, which then, if you did it right, you get to mark this spot with your colored token to make sure you get those extra points.
And completing a painting a feature. Sorry, not the painting. Consists of you having all the necessary colors already on your palette. So if like you had all these 3 on a single stack ready, that's fine. Or these are the only 3 colors you have on your entire palette, regardless of stacks. It
Mhm.
could still work.
Yeah.
And you play the appropriate brush,
Yeah.
tool thing. So depends. This one's the knife. This one's the fan brush. Sorry, it's not very high contrast examples.
Noel asks, any wig choices? No, this is the real Bob Ross, and
So
not
bring your own wigs.
the Drag Race Bob Ross.
Yeah. So so once you play that brush card, that counts as completing the
Mhm.
feature, and then we start going through the scoring.
So real quick, Jed asked, had there been other painting-based games before?
I'm sure we just haven't owned many of
So
them.
Bob Ross Art of Chill is one. There's Fresco, where
Mm.
you do play people painting a church, and part of the system is waking up early to be the first one to do choices.
That fun decision. How early did you wake up today?
There's Pastiche, which is similar to this, wherein there are sections, but here, while it's mixed colors, in Pastiche it might be green for the tree, brown for the house, white for the water. And if you look online, when you place the cube on it, it sort of does make it look like you painted that area. So it's a pretty interesting game, something quite smaller, but in many ways just as cutthroat as this one.
Then the other one we're super excited about because we're finally getting our own copy is
Canvas.
Canvas. I was going to say Canva. Wrong.
Yeah.
Canvas.
And Canvas makes use of cards that are transparent acrylic cards.
Yes.
So you get to lay them over each other to create a painting, and it's so beautiful.
Because you can create the different transparent cards stack on a background, so then it looks like you're adding features to the painting, which also feels like you're doing old timey cell animation.
Yes.
And then I'll take a picture of this and then don't you miss those when you used to watch all those like behind the scenes of traditional animation features? Oh my gosh. Anyway, but that's a different game. So so there are quite a number of games that have painting as a central aspect of the theme, and there's one that has paintings the noun instead of the verb. I mean, like there's a very old board game called Masterpiece where it's all about bidding on pieces of fine art.
Yes.
And then we also have the Gallerist, which is
Yes.
about running different art museums and acquiring paintings for it.
And it is a board game that has a box that's bigger than my chest.
That is a point of comparison, sure.
There's also modern art, which has you bidding for paintings as well. And then there's Fake Artist Goes to New York.
Oh yeah, where you kind of draw things.
Because one of you is not really an artist, and it's your job to try to figure out who's the fake artist among you.
So painting is not an uncommon theme.
Yes.
And gosh, we could probably do an episode just about that. So Bob Ross Art of Chill
Looks like it's my shirt.
is not quite beginner, but it's close enough. Like smart friends or friends with some gaming background, but not like extensive gaming background, can get into this game fairly easily. I feel the once you understand the principles of the rule set, it's pretty easy to follow, and you just have to get through each painting and hopefully waste things. The most frustrating feeling is always when, whether it's Bob Ross or if one of the players paints all three features,
And that
it
completes
triggers the
painting.
reset, and then you're stuck with stuff on your palette, and then you're hoping against hope that it'll match the next painting, but in most cases, it won't.
There's also that frustration of knowing that someone just snatched the points from you. You're preparing, for example, for the set, but then someone lucks out with the die roll, gets the color they need, and that random draw, and suddenly they can do this that round before you do. And oh my god, that frustration is real.
And there's the randomness of the art supplies can get kind of bonkers when you're just drawing card after card, hoping to get stuff that'll work, and in the end, I guess I can buy a technique because I don't understand what I've just acquired. So that's how we'll go for it. But it all works out. It all works out. No one's making fun of me saying smart enough. No, it's true though.
Yeah.
We need smart enough friends to play games.
Who's our co-host right
Not
now?
very chill, but yeah.
Yeah.
So the fact that it is only a race to 30, and if a player can score maybe 8-9 points in a move by finishing a feature, it's hard to tell who is leading in the game for any long period of time, because as people complete features, the scores can swing wildly.
Yes.
And I love that about the game. But that's also why we say it's not very chill, because you will notice the player tokens moving closely together across the chill track,
And then someone jumps.
yeah, this like I'm leading now, but then I did a 10-point move because I had techniques. Oh no! So it's kind of insane, and I love this about the game. We've done this game as an opener. We've done this game as an in between. We've done this game as a finisher at the end of a long game night, and you think that you're run out of you're out of brain power. No, you can still play Bob Ross Art of Chill, and I love that versatility about the game.
The paintings, since they are based on the actual paintings, are beautiful to look at. It's easy to actually overlook the game UI, so to speak, and just look at the paintings and find them really nice to look at as well. For people who aren't familiar with Bob Ross,
Oh my
the
god,
game
go to YouTube.
is a great way to introduce the person and the legend behind the man. And then it's always a joy to find people who connect with it and go, "Oh, that's that TV show. I started painting when I saw it also, and I stopped because I wasn't good at it." But the fact you tried is what matters.
Good job. We've tried. Normally, we play games with like background music. We've tried playing with Bob Ross videos playing in the background. It's not that bad, although players get a little distracted and try to watch the
Then we
painting.
end up watching it. Wait, whose turn is it?
And
Because
then,
it's really fascinating.
but the fun part, there are very few cases where we think we have found a matching landscape versus the video.
So far, but then again, we are talking about how many paintings.
I know, right? He just painted so many things, and there was like a little article, documentary thing that explained that Bob probably paints each landscape for each episode 3 times.
Mhm.
First was the test. Second is like the trial air, and then he'll do one more. So there's always like 3 versions of different paintings. It's fascinating.
Mitch asks most memorable Bob Ross painting. To be honest, I can't identify a specific one because they
Yeah.
all blur to me.
Because he did a lot. There are all these landscapes that there are mountains
But
and
I think
trees.
I'll have to state that my most favorite ones always had a mountain or water.
Okay.
Because I loved how he would do the water spray effect.
Or I like how he does
He
reflections.
just scrapes mountains.
Yeah. And a little thing about the game, which is hard to see when we hold the things up, is that the way they've named the features on the track matches how he would describe them. For example, they're not just mountains; they're almighty mountains. They're not just clouds; they're fluffy clouds. And of course, they're not just trees; they're happy little trees. So I love this little detail about it. I mean, the game is very well themed to Bob Ross, and even the components. I mean, sure, you have the easel, you have the little pallets. If you go to the inside of the box, it's a paint set. It's a demonstration of sort of the Bob Ross paint set, and the colors match the names of the paints, and the specific names of those colors.
Mhm.
Whether it's sap green, phthalo blue. And really, if for people who have an appreciation for Bob Ross as a person, you can really get into the mood with this game.
Moving into our coverage of this game the way we normally do, let's talk about the box. The box has little dividers set up, these cardboard areas that allow you to keep things
It's like
nicely organized
just enough.
to some degree.
It's not great.
There's slots for the cards, there's slots for the palette.
Pieces.
They didn't really think about where this goes.
Yeah, it just
It
stacks
doesn't-
on top.
It doesn't really go flat completely, so we end up just putting it on top. But all in all, we have not had major problems with the box.
And then now realizing that Prospero Hall is the same people behind Villainous, then you see the same level of quality of insert. Because the very first Disney Villainous, when you open it up, it's like, really? This is what we did for a Disney property game? I mean, like, it's functional. It's like, okay, but we have seen so much better work done for certain box inserts and linings. So, and it's a bit of a factor. And I know there's a whole market of like third party inserts and fillers to kind of like round out your game for you and make things more efficient. This could probably benefit from that. And it was like Cerulean, yes.
Does it look like a 70s album cover? It does.
It is Bob Ross, so I guess it's appropriate enough. And then,
So here's an image of what a game session would look like.
yeah.
Isn't that beautiful? It's just lovely. And I have to admit, I love how striking the colors look.
And okay, this is a nice box, because it's like, what's this? What do you call this? It's like hot press. I forget, but it's a nice, shiny, reflective. It's not embossed, but it's very pretty. It's very, very prettily done.
Mhm.
There's a lot of love in some aspects of the design for this, which is appropriate. It is a Bob Ross game, and yeah. And just to be clear, it supports 2 to 4 players. It's tight. It's a tight game, which just adds to the non-chill nature of things.
And it features 30 of Bob Ross's paintings.
So that's a fair amount. It's a fair amount of work of the many paintings that Bob Ross has painted. So, strategy discussion, Toby. What would you recommend for strategy? Stay chill.
I guess plan ahead, knowing that paint becomes useless when a painting is finished. Then you have to really plan ahead. Don't put paints in the same slot unless you're sure that's flexible enough. So if a painting, for example, has blue, yellow, green, and then here it's blue, red, green, then having blue in either side is fine. But the moment you put blue and the yellow together, realize that blue can't be used for the red anymore.
Yeah.
So be sure you plan ahead.
So yeah, we do. I do a lot of that too. Like I keep thinking about which features have common colors with one another, and that's the colors I'll try to get on the palette first. Or sometimes the reverse. That's the last color I'll place because then I can always match it later on.
Mhm.
But along similar lines, you may want to balance that against what's this? Which feature will Bob pass first?
Mhm.
Because those tend to have additional bonuses, and those one or two more points make all the difference. But weigh it against how many of those paints and or brushes you already have in hand. Do you see them in the market, and will you have enough actions
Mhm.
to acquire everything you need? So it's there's a fair amount of luck you have to balance against.
Bear in mind that paints are limited in number, so it's quite possible that if you've thrown away two of the browns to get a technique, then others might be throwing away other browns. That means in the later painting, know that browns will be very scarce.
Yeah, and like that's an aspect of like I haven't mastered, which feels like the equivalent of card counting for this game, but trying to pay attention to what color combinations have been going out, so that you can factor in like what's the probability of like cards left. I mean, I'm sure there are people who can super game it that way. I don't think you should memorize, but try to be aware and try to think about like if you have two paintings in a row that have multiple uses of brown, then you know it's going to be a problem.
Color mixing does not exist in this game, so you can't, for example, create the green you need by mixing yellow and blue.
Mm.
To answer Mitch and Noel's question, bawal mag-mix ng colors. You can't really mix them. It's really more if they're in the same palette, then you're expected to be using those colors in the painting together. So it's not that you're combining them to create colors, but it's more that side of the palette must have been for that feature. Likewise, since there is no color mixing, neither CMYK nor RGB rules of color mixing applies. Officially, one is for light and the other one is for mixing colors.
Ooh, color nerd alert!
So they don't really work for this painting.
He's so cute. I like it.
See?
I like when Toby explains things based on stock knowledge and not Wikipedia. He's still cute, just not as cute when he's just going off Wikipedia. Okay, so what else? What other strategy items can we recommend for this game? Um, don't ignore technique cards. I have, especially when it feels like when you do have a hand of cards and you feel like you do not match the painting at all. You know, it's just one of those bad random draws of a painting. It doesn't cooperate with the cards in hand. Then see if you can focus on techniques, build up bonuses for the next painting, or sometimes just gather colors for the next painting. It's a risk. It's a bit of a risk to like sit, but to not deal with it, but be realistic with your painting potential. It's sort of like Pret a Porter where you can skip a fashion show. You can skip a painting. You can totally skip a painting. Because especially in a full like 4-player game and you have everyone rolling Bob every turn, the paintings go a lot faster with more players. Normally you would say it shouldn't matter because regardless of number of players, someone rolls a dice at the beginning of the turn. But it does matter because it means more turns pass before you get to act.
If you can't complete a feature within one round, that's already risking losing the painting before you have your second turn at it.
Well, in a
If
4-player
you
game.
can't
Yeah.
finish the painting within 2 rounds, you're planning it wrong.
Mm.
And it's best to move on to the next feature or to wash your palette because you're not going to get anywhere. In fact,
Yeah, or like I've had cases where, oh my god, you see there are these big, beautiful 4 color features, and sometimes I'll be like, I'm not gonna make it. I'm gonna build techniques and maybe paint the last feature, which has the least amount of colors,
yes,
just to score quick. Because I'll score for painting it first. That's at least an additional 1 to 2 points, and that kind of helps make up for it. So I mean, it's just a lot of that. It's a lot of reading the market, reading the state of cards in your hand, and going versus the painting. Wow, there's a emergency vehicle.
assuming that you don't think you'll have time to finish the painting because it's almost about to end. Don't be afraid to prepare one color in one of the sides of your palettes, even if you're not sure if it's going to be used. If it happens to match a 4 color requirement for the next painting, you're already one step ahead.
That saves you time. And we didn't get to highlight among the art supplies is this rainbow card, which counts
Yes.
as any color, and that is always super powerful. The tricky thing about the rainbow card is that if it is visible in the market, so it's face up in the market, it takes 2 actions to take
draw it.
that card. But if you draw it at random from the top of the stack, it's
Yeah.
only 1 action.
That cost, however, is quite balanced out by the fact that when you play it on your palette, you don't even have to declare what color it is.
Yes.
You can only declare once, okay, so this is red, and I'm now completing that. And
You
that's
only
when it
declare
matters.
at the point of painting.
So if you actually have that and then the painting changes, you are still not necessarily going to be forced to throw everything out unless you have my luck.
Yeah, Toby rolls really weird.
I'd like have rainbow, rainbow, and blue. And then the next painting has no blue.
The last thing to remember, I guess for me, for like pieces of advice, is that remember that the topmost chill card remains in effect as long as it is the topmost chill card. Some of them are one-time effects that only trigger when the card is revealed.
Mhm.
But some, especially those that give bonus points for painting with particular colors, will remain in effect as long as they are there. And if nobody rolls Bob Ross, which is still a 50% chance,
Mhm.
then you can still take advantage of these bonuses. And sometimes I'll always like remind people that it's still happening. It's still
Mhm.
gonna work. It's not all one-time stuff.
But Rocky only does that for the other players to remember, not for me.
I don't need to remind you.
You choose not to remind me. So if I don't remember, that's an advantage.
That's strategy.
But yeah, that's the Bob Ross Art of Chill game. As you probably now agree, it's not a chill game at all. It's war.
But it despite its cutthroat, highly competitive nature, no, actually not really despite, but because of that, it actually what elevates it to being a really good game.
Mhm.
It I swear it is a surprisingly good game. It plays very quickly.
And I think, although you can correct me if I'm wrong,
Okay,
we've never felt cheated by this game.
yeah.
Even if you lose,
As much as there's like a
there's
lot of
still
random
that joy
elements.
of, oh my god, I
And
had all the blues compared to other games we're in. This game's broken. I got nothing but blues.
Because again, you're not limited to drawing just the face up
Mhm.
market cards. You can draw top of the deck random stuff, which is the more efficient way of getting rainbow cards. So it's like it all balances out. It's crazy that a game with this much random in it, and there are varying degrees of how
Mhm.
games rely on randomness. This nicely works out, and that's why it's still a pretty good family game. It's We have used it for beginner game nights.
Mhm.
We've used it for veteran game nights, and everybody generally enjoys. And then we all just kind of pretend to be Bob Ross at the same time and talk in very soft tones. How many rainbow cards? I honestly don't remember. Probably wouldn't be more than 4 or 5.
It's a small number.
It's a small number versus like the entire palette of colors.
The game does not have expansions. The game is a limited release game. It doesn't score that high on Board Game Geek because probably it doesn't hit the same spots that we enjoy for many other
To
people.
be fair, it's a 6.9. I
Mhm.
think I scored it a 7. It's
Yeah.
like it's a good game. It's not the best game in the world,
Yes.
but it's a solid game.
So it's worth getting if you can find your hands on it. Unless you're a huge Bob Ross fan, it probably isn't worth getting at premium rates because for some this is already considered collectible.
It's still listed on Amazon for like $25, which I think is standard retail. So that's not bad for this game and the quality of the stuff you get out of it.
But know as well that if the main idea is having a game that's Bob Ross inspired, it is not the only one. There are a bunch of other Bob Ross inspired games out there. With this one being the only one we actually own.
So there is Bob Ross Happy Little Accidents, which
Mhm.
was released the year after
Yeah.
this game.
And there's a
Um,
Monopoly edition of Bob Ross.
Yes.
Which I can only wonder how that feels like.
And then I'm not sure about this one, but there's a Bob Ross Speed Colors game.
Mhm.
Um,
Which seems to be for a much younger market.
yeah, and and the Bob Ross variant is a re-implementation. It's a
The-
particular version.
The Happy Little Accidents one is more a
Party game. no?
party game where you draw and do doodles. So if you're more into that, then that might be something you want to check out. We're not aware of any digital translations of this experience.
It could be
It's
nice.
possible there are, but I have a feeling it wasn't popular enough for people to actually code it.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's pretty much
you've
it.
been hugging the game.
I'm hugging him. Look, he's like sitting. Hey, Bob.
I guess that's all we have to say about this game. Yes.
Yeah, I guess that's it. That's all we have for the Bob Ross Art of Chill board game. I keep thinking the.
get that.
It's a game we enjoy. It's a game you might enjoy, and hopefully, when the pandemic's done and we get to have visitors again, we will let you try it.
Yes. So, for questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Thanks again to Mitch for asking that we feature this game in full. We've had mentioned it before in certain lists, but yeah, earlier Toby was like, it's a life-size Bob
No,
Ross
at
fit.
this angle, this closer to the camera, it looks like it's life size.
Okay, yeah. Then otherwise, you can follow us on Twitter, all Toby No Shade, RG Sunico.
You can also check out our blog, baduypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. Let us know what you think about the game. If you think you want to get chill with us, then let us know. Be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
I'm Toby.
And this is
Baduy
Baduy Pride. Good night, everyone. Have a safe time.